Welcome to Close Listening. I'm Zach Morgenstern, joined as always by silent co-host and today parrot head Ludwig von B. So the primary thing I do on this channel is music reviews, but I also occasionally do book reviews, and I thought I'd combine those two by reviewing a book by a music legend. I've came across Jimmy Buffett's Swine Not completely by accident, and when I read the synopsis, I couldn't believe it was real. The premise is that a free-spirited family moves from a Tennessee farm to Manhattan, and they bring their pet pig with them. And not only is having a pet pig against their building, which is actually a fancy hotel's policy, but also the hotel is home to a gourmet chef who can't see an animal without fantasizing about killing it and eating it. So why would Jimmy Buffett, a man associated with Florida beach parties, write about a pig in New York? Well, why, or swine not? So this is a children's book, and I feel like normally this is the kind of text that would be aimed at 7 to 9-year-olds. But what's interesting is the marketing. As you can see, the cover of the book has Jimmy Buffett's picture on it and is set on a beach. But Jimmy is not a character in the story, nor is the book ever on a beach. So the point clearly is people will buy this because they like Jimmy Buffett and think the idea of him writing a novel about a pig is silly. Hopefully they'll kind of get that, it's really written as an elementary school novel, but again, kind of notable that that's not the marketing that's going on here. So having read the book, what I'd say is that it's competently written. What holds it back from being great is just that things are a bit too easy for its young heroes. In addition to the pig, the main characters of the book are twin kids, Barley and Maple. I don't remember if it says how old they are, but I'd guess about 12, since they're too mature to be little kids, but nothing really seems teenage about their story either. Anyway, Barley the boy is a big soccer fan, and he seems to have no trouble living out his soccer dreams. He's the star on his local team in Tennessee, and then he moves to New York and is instantly scouted into the training academy for the New York Red Bulls of Major League Soccer. Similarly, Maple is into fashion design and also turns out to be a prodigy in her field, and she's scouted into this fashion academy. Now, maybe I'm just bitter as the kid who absolutely loved baseball as a kid, but whose fandom and love for reading baseball books didn't translate to making any teams, let alone being scouted by a pro team. But I feel it would actually make Barley and Maple's loves for their hobbies a bit more three-dimensional if it wasn't just, I love a thing, therefore I'm the best at it, therefore I get scouted to the top level. It's just a bit too saccharine, and I think even as a little kid, I would have cynically sensed that. The pig Grumpy, meanwhile, is written neither as anthropomorphic nor as realistic. Instead, she's kind of like a Pokemon in that she can't speak and she lives her life as a non-human, but she also seems to understand everything the humans say, what every human vocabulary word and concept is, and she's pretty darn competent at pursuing her goals, even if she can't speak directly to her humans. Also, she's randomly a top-notch soccer goalie. So again, there's just a kind of over sweetness to how good she is at things, but it's not like funny, cartoonish either. It's sort of stuck in the middle between wanting to genuinely write a book about someone's pet and wanting to write a cartoonish book about a pig that thinks like a human. And I think it would be stronger if it leaned a bit more in, either direction. That said, it's not just Jimmy Buffett who had this problem. I feel like regularly as a kid, I'd read children's books that struck a similar tone, and they would come across as a little corny. So when one considers that this is Jimmy Buffett's, secondary career, more of a hobby, I think it's pretty cool that he's able to competently write a children's book. And there's a lot of things that I said, wow, that's pretty cool about this experience. It's nice for a guy who plays, the all-American party man to write a book centered around soccer, a sport that's not the biggest thing in America. He shines the spotlight on Major League Soccer, an underdog league relative to the big leagues of Europe. And just as he writes about Barley, the boy, in his soccer hobby, he also writes about Maple, the girl, in her fashion hobby, he writes about it in a creative, like non-stereotypical way. He takes her hobby just as seriously as the boy's hobby. I won't spoil this, even though I've been spoiling other things, but she designs this really cool Halloween costume for herself, and I can't quite picture how it works, but it was one of the more creative scenes in the book. I like that this book is sympathetic to people not wanting to eat meat, even if it's coming from the cheeseburger in Paradise guy. I love the broadly hippie-ish vibe of this book. How, I know I've been criticizing the corniness of this, but it's just so sweet. It's nice that everyone, even the seeming bad guy, ends up getting a happy ending. So, is this a book I'd recommend as a book? No, but it is a lovely experience for a Jimmy Buffett fan, seeing this other side to him. One often wonders with public figures one admires whether one would actually get along with them, because just because one shares one hobby in common doesn't mean one has other things in common. And seeing this soft side to Jimmy Buffett, gives me that extra sense of connection with him. And recently, I've been listening to a couple of Jimmy Buffett albums. I just had Changes in Latitude, Changes in Attitude out of the library. And what I've noticed is once you get past the greatest hits, which are very much, the partying in Florida kind of songs, there's a slightly different feel. There's a bit more emphasis on the acoustic guitar picking, sometimes some dramatic strings, just more traditional singer-songwriter. And what you see in those songs, like the song Death of an Unpopular Poet from the White Sport Coat and a Pink Crustacean record, is that Jimmy Buffett was just very interested in storytelling. And supposedly his Florida stories, they aren't simple, like tourist fun and by the beach. They were trying to capture what was then a growing scene in Key West, a kind of vagabond hippie lifestyle, even if it seems so commercial in hindsight. So it was cool discovering that side to Jimmy Buffett, and I'll probably continue to seek out his actual albums rather than just listening to the greatest hits and seeing what else he has to offer. So let me know if you've read Swine Not or any other of Jimmy Buffett's novels. There are more than one, and I think the other ones are aimed at older readers. But let me know your thoughts. I'm Zach Morgenstern. This is Ludwig von B. See you next time.